and today we are gonna go into programming placeholders, I would say, and using them also. So yeah, so previously, like Atum, is it how you pronounce it, Atum or Atum? And he did like a pull request on the NPF GitHub. So I can let me increase the font size a little bit. So to have like machine variables for time, so for like the current hour, for the current seconds, and so on, so that you can do stuff like midnight, multi-ball, and I don't know, in general, time-dependent stuff. So that's pretty cool. And he did this like really straightforward, and I will show you. So it's like an async IO function. I think I explained last time how async IO works. It's like a way to write coroutines in Python. And basically, this is a loop, and every second, all those variables get set to the current time and second and year, month, day, hour, minute, and second, and that works. I'm pretty sure that it works. And he also wrote some tests for it, so that definitely works this way. But like there's one issue with this, and that's that it basically spams the log. So it will actually set this every second, and that will like create some load in NPF and will also like spam your log. So that's like a small downside of this approach. So it works, but I guess it can be improved a little bit, and that's what we want to do today. So what NPF offers is like placeholders, which can be used like almost everywhere. So we are aiming at everywhere, but we're not there yet. So this is what we would like to use as well for like time, and that's what we want to implement. So first thing I want to do now is I will basically check out this change locally. So that's something which you can do, and GitHub even conveniently gives you the command line here. So it's relatively convenient. So it's exactly what I will be doing now. So I will just copy and paste what GitHub gives me. So I already did that, obviously, but apparently. So let me update the branch. Okay, I did this earlier, apparently. Yeah. So here we go. So, but you can repeat it by just running those two commands. So that's super easy. And now basically I got this changes locally. So I can now run git log. I see all the commits, and I can also like open my IDE, and we should find some changes in machine variables. Okay, so that's where this is currently. So let's see. Okay, it's indexing now. Because I switched the branch. Now it finished. Machine variables. Is it just I think the class is called variables. Right. Yeah. That's where this is, by basically load machine variables, and then this go. Okay, here's the task basically, but this is updated. So we'll keep this for now, and in parallel we will build something where we can do this via like placeholders. So the way this works in NPF is in like it's called placeholder manager. And we basically use the Python parser. That's basically If you look at it from a computer science perspective, that's an abstract syntax tree, an S tree, and Python has a parser to like translate a text with like a plus b would become variable, and then another variable, and then operation and operation add. That would be basically a tree, and we use this like syntax tree to evaluate it at runtime basically. And that's implemented in this class. It's a little bit tricky if you never like worked with like something like parsers or so, but that's basically already done. So what we don't now need to touch is only like how variables are evaluated. So for example, if you like write machine dot I don't know, like let's device dot ball device dot something. Internally, we will just call a method to get those values, and this is here at the end. So like here, we get like the global parameters, and that's settings, machine, device, mode, current player, and game. And for example, in this case, I guess we would put it in machine. So we can go into the machine placeholder, and that thing has a few methods. That's subscribe. So what's subscribe? That is if you're interested to know when this variable changes. So like often, for example, if we render slides, we only want to re-render them if something changed. And then we subscribe on this. And this can be done for any part of like machine.device, right, device.ball device dot some device, some variable, whatever, on any point in this path. If something changes, we know that the edge value at the end might have changed. And that's for that reason MPF subscribes the whole path. And that's also like the case here. So in case of the machine itself, that the machine itself will never change. So this is just a future which never returns. Then you can subscribe to attributes. So like any attributes in MPF. And that's then like, for example, in this case, that's always machine variables. And then there's basically get item and get attribute. Like that's basically array getters. So like, let me just put this here so that you can see it. So get item is something like this. So if you call with those brackets, then it calls Python calls get item that way. And if you do like a dot something, that's like get attribute, because that's an attribute of this object. So those two things exist in Python, and that's what we're using here. So you can implement that. Also, like we can only subscribe on attributes, not on items. So like not on single elements in an array. That's not possible. And the idea here would be to have something like machine.time, right? That would be cool. I think that would be cool. So I think you added a test here already, right? Like test machine variables. Test machine variables here. And this, okay. Let's just separate this into like a new test time, test time. Let's see, this is happy at the moment. Yeah, test machine variables, I think. Yeah. And test machine variables, and now we can put like the method here. Yeah, so that works. Let's see. So this has like some like theoretical like weakness that like basically we could have set the second, and in between getting or updating the second and the unit test, the second could have advanced. So there's a slight chance that this line, or in theory every line here, fails. So that's something we probably have to look at into later to make it less flaky. So because this could like lead to random test failures. So, and what I want to do is something like this. So self search placeholder evaluated evaluates. So for example, we would like to have something. Let's do the same here, right? So for now, we do the same. And the placeholder should be machine time seconds. Second? Second, right? Yeah, it's singular, right? So, yeah, like there's a chance, right? And it's always bad to have flaky tests. So there's a slight chance that this fails. So yeah, but we can fix this. So now this should fail. See, yeah, it does that. Machine. Yeah. So because like time does not even exist. So that's basically empty. And now the first thing we could do is like, I mean, this error isn't nice. So I'm just noticing. So the first thing I would do is like to make this error nicer, because that really doesn't look nice. So go there, and here we run get attribute on something. So what we could do is like if not slice value, then we do something like this as assertion error, missing element, element in path is none, or is if none, whoop. Yeah. We cannot actually do this like this way. Let's see. Now we should like get, yeah, we should like edit there. Format. Node value. Doesn't look nice either. Node value. Let's see. Yeah, I guess I can make this nice later, but it should look like better than what I did. So I know it's like it's attribute. Element second. Yeah, in path is none. Actually not true. This one is like none. Yeah, I have to think about that, but yeah, right. Like welcome. So the motivation is to have like placeholders for time, for any time, and so like that you can do like midnight multi-ball or something. That would be the motivation, and that would be what we want to do here. Yeah, and what we want to do is like, before I get lost in in fixing unrelated bugs. So we got like machine, go in the machine placeholder, and now we would like have an attribute time, and now we say like if item equals time, return time placeholder. So now this obviously does not exist yet, but we can just create this class, placeholder. So like the other solution is also nice. It's just that it triggers all the time, even if you're not using it, right? And that's like Yeah, I mean, it's like sometimes we are, how do you call it, idealists. So we try to do the optimal solution, even if like in industry you would be happy with 80%. So I don't know, maybe it's not the, I'm just over design. No, it's not bad design. It's just I feel it can be done even better. And maybe I can also explain some stuff about like placeholders along the way. So that's also motivation. So I'll return the current time. So the first thing we do is like, do we need the machine? No, we don't. So we need like get attribute here, obviously, and that will be relatively simple. And we will also later need to have some subscribe. So this subscribing to time itself will never change, but like to certain values of time that might change. Type attribute. Let's see how we do this in other places. Subscribe attribute. The device changes. Oh, that never. Yeah, right. So like, so the time placeholder itself will also like never change. So like now we have to look like what happens if you subscribe on machine.time. That will also like never change. So we will go with like item equals time. Will just return in future, which will never return. So this will be like always the same. And now, yeah, subscribing to this thingy will never change also. And now we say like subscribe to an attribute that will be the same as subscribe as like getting the element. So now we got like get attribute, and that would be in the first place second. And for second we want basically exactly that. So yeah, we need to import this. Do it. Import name. I was wrong. I need to import. Sometimes it's a little bit tricky with this IDE. Import datetime, the module. So let's run it. Actually passes, so we're done, right? No, we're not yet done. So now the second thing we can do in MPF is like self machine placeholder manager build integer template, and now we give it like a string, and let's give it this string. So placeholder, and now what we can do is like on the placeholder we can either evaluate, then we just get the value, or we can say evaluate and subscribe. And we will do this. So parameters is just an empty list because we do not have any parameters here. And now we get back, let's see what we get back, a boolean and a future. Boolean is not correct, but a future is correct. So value and future. And now we can again say self assert equal that like the value, the current value is like similar to the current second. That should be true. And we should also assert that like the future, that's basically an object which promises us a future value. So it will become ready once this value changes. So it has like a method which is called done, and it shouldn't be done yet. But now if we, let's say we say advance time by 1 millisecond, yeah, in 1 millisecond, then it should be done, right? So now it should be it should be done, because like the value of second should have changed after 1 second. And let's see if that actually is the case, and that's actually not the case, because it tries to do bad stuff. And non-type object has no attribute events. In 527. Did I copy something? Yeah, I copied this, and that's obviously so good. If item equals second, then now we need to give it like a future that is done once actually the time changed. And that's actually a little bit, I guess, a little bit tricky, right? You would think. And the easiest way is actually to give it like a future which expires in 1 second, right? Because then like the second changed. So we can go, and that's why I wanted to keep Atum's code, because he has stuff like this, async.io sleep for 1 second, and that actually gives you a future. So this is an async method, and that actually gives you a future. And that's internal code from async.io, but it does exactly what we want. So after 1 second, this future will be ready. Let's see if it works. Something was unhappy, but that's in update datetime. Okay. Maybe this code for some reason is unhappy. Because now in the test I'm running. It's crashing this. I'm confused. Okay, now it's working. And this actually crashes the code. Interesting. But this, I mean, this looks good here, so. I mean, let's just remove it for now. And it's like that's in, yeah, you're right, that's milliseconds what I did here, right? So you're right. So I need to sort by, yeah, I need to advance by 1 second still. I don't get why this crashes for some reason. And tear down for some reason. Ah, coroutine sleep was never awaited. Never awaited. Maybe, yeah, because we didn't return it. That's why it's unhappy. Yeah. So that's actually now in 45. Wait, this one, where's that? 45 is here. Oh, we actually triggered the bug which I was talking about, right? Now it got like the second advanced while we were running the test. So we actually got it. So like there's like a significant chance that this happens. We can also run the test like in the IDE. That's a little bit nicer. So yeah. Now we see that like in 55, this is not working yet. We can like give it like 2 seconds. Let's see if that helps, but apparently not yet. Oh, that helps. Maybe we need a little bit more than 1 second, right? If it's exactly 1 second here, maybe it's like racing that it's ready. Maybe we need 1.1 seconds or something. Yeah, that actually passes now. So now what we did is like when you subscribe on the second, we wait 1 second until like the second advanced. So, and that's basically what we can do for all placeholders. Then we will re-evaluate them once per second, right? When you try to run that in the IDE, it never runs. So what kind of error do you get? So this should work. I mean, if you like set a Python version in your IDE, then this normally works. I can show you how this setup looks. So what you need to set is like you first need to set like the Python interpreter for all your projects. So like here, it's super slow if you got a lot of projects like I got here. Yeah, nothing happens here. Ah, no. You need to set like the Python interpreter here to like something Python 3. And yeah, I clicked too often. I wasn't waiting long enough. And the second thing is like you need, if you got like a lot of stuff open like I do, you have to set the dependencies. So I have to tell what depend on what. So if you got Python 3.7, that should work. General. So it usually runs if you just click this here. One mistake you can make is like you need to open like the MPF root folder. So like MPF and not like the lower MPF folder. So the outer MPF folder needs to be opened. Otherwise, this won't work. So maybe that's a thing that also happened to me previously. So it's something. Yeah, I mean those IDEs sometimes are a little bit tricky. Yeah. So we got like one placeholder running, and we can for now take like this for all of them. Subscribe invalidate placeholders every second. But we can improve it later. And now we can also have like if item equals minute, we will return the minute. If it's like hour, we return the hour, and so on. But we have month. We probably got a year. That's we have second, minute, hour, a day. Yeah, day is a good idea. Let's add that too. Day. Oops. And otherwise we raise an assertion. Invalid time element item. And then we will tell you that it's not a good idea what you're doing. So now we can also do here and have like, so for now we invalidate after 1 second, but I mean obviously you could calculate how long it takes until the time change, like the day changes, right, or the month changes, and then you can like generate a better placeholder. That would be also possible here. So but that's like a minimal implementation here, which should like make our test happy. Like we can also run it here. It makes our test happy, and we can now like improve this for like all of those. So we got like second, we got minute, but we will have like the same problem, right? So that the second can still change, right? So we have to like take care about that next, because otherwise, yeah, it will occasionally just fail, and then we got like failed CI builds and people eventually will stop trusting CI if it fails too often, right? So that's something you should take care of a little bit. So now that's happy. It's very good. Happy about that. And next would be like to, so what you usually would do here is you would mock like datetime. So that's what I will do here. So what this internally will do is like it will give this code here, not this one, this code here, a specific object which I will be injecting in the test, and that's like with patch, I think it's called, and let's import that. Put this from patch from unit test, right? And what we want to patch is like, that's a little bit tricky. Now we want to patch like placeholder manager datetime, right? And it's sometimes a little bit tricky. So we want to npf core placeholder manager datetime. That's what we want to npf core placeholder manager datetime as sd, yeah. And now we can say the return value is like some, so current date equals, we can put any object here. So we can do, for example, like we can give it a magic mock. That's something which you can do in unit tests. But let's see if this works in general first. So this might crash now. See what happens. Failed because yeah, that looks perfect. So now like it injected. Yeah, so this fails now because now we got like the magic mock here, and that's a little bit, I guess, I know it's tricky, but actually what it does is that here in placeholder manager we now get like this injected object, and this way I will now inject like the current date here this way, and now this way I can make sure that like that like we got the same date object in both places, hopefully. Why is it still magic mock? It's still magic mock for some reason. Probably have to do something like d.datetime, yeah, something like that, I guess. Let's see. It's sometimes a little bit tricky to get this working. It's still not working, so oh, we want this, so now we will use my object here first. That's tricky. And it still got the magic mock, but this mocking still works for some reason. So now the return value, what do I call here? So I call datetime.datetime.now, and I want to set basically datetime.datetime.now, and this should have like a specific return value. Now that works. If that's magic, that's because it's magic mock. That's a Python special testing magic, and now we can be like sure that this always passes. And so I will now delete the machine variable. Sorry for that. And then we can basically call this a day, and it's already done. And I can fix my bug later, like what needs to go here. That's basically this, right? So now probably the imports here, they will be unhappy. Yep. We run like yeah, right. So at the time it's creating the placeholder. Yeah. So basically I create the date time object first, and then now like in this class, this will always return like the same time. It will not change anymore. So like this is actually replaced. This whole statement is replaced by this value, which I'll basically inject here. So that's a little bit magic because it like runtime patches classes Python. So that's like testing magic. Yeah, it's a way to mock this, and it also like cleans it up after this with block. So that's super cool in Python. So that's really one of the killer features of Python, and that's something which is not possible in a lot of languages. So like in other languages, it's a lot more tricky to do stuff like that. So this is, I like that. It's super cool. And probably we should also do this here, because otherwise we will have the same problem with that. But we can also like, yeah, just move everything into this with block. It should not make it worse. So that should still work. Perfect. Run git status, we check like coding style of all those classes, not of tests, because we don't check about tests. And that's hopefully already it's like we took 37 minutes for that. So yeah, we did it. I don't know, is it fast, is it slow? But it's working, so it's great. And now it's unhappy about line 13 in placeholder manager. See, what did I do here? That's not how it's supposed to work. Yeah, it's definitely not the right thing. Let's see what it does now. Yeah, it's fine, very good. Let's run all unit tests once, and that might take like a minute now because my PC isn't the newest, so it's busy streaming. So yeah, okay, so with that, how do you set up that value in YAML files? Everyone has access to seconds minute PC. How are they called, like machine variables? That's a good question. So there are multiple ways to do that. So there's like a syntax for like subscriptions. So what you can do is something like, let's just do this. Let's just run a small test machine. Let's put an event player here. And let's say test event. And we want this test event. But I get why you sleep for 1 second for placeholder. Why couldn't yeah, we could use like 60 seconds for like minutes. That's true, but then it would like also wait until like it wouldn't like trigger when the minute started. It would trigger when like the minute yeah, like after exactly 1 minute, right? So what we would have to do is like to look at the current second. Like if we had second 35, then we would like sleep for 25 seconds, right? So I guess we can do this. That's totally possible. So this would be like here for like minutes, we could like run -60 minus the current second, right? and that would be like exactly until like the next minute starts, right? That's correct. If we're at 95 would be 1 second, yeah. If we're at 0, it would be 60 seconds, yeah. So we could do this, for example, right? And we could, for an hour, we could do 3600 minus second. Is correct? No. And minus 60 times the minute. And so on, right? I guess you get the idea. So that would work. Yeah, but you still also like need the seconds. Otherwise, you would like miss the exact state or a start of like the hour, right? So, and we can do this for everything, I guess. So we could also do it for like for a day. But to be honest, I would just reuse this for all of them, so that then we would trigger once an hour, and it would not really trigger. We will still compare if it actually changed. But if minute updates at exact second, then it cascades for what? Is it the first? Yeah, the first. Right. So it's like the first second of the next minute. It will be exactly that. So we can also like improve this like with something like hour, day, month, and year. So we only need it once, right? So we can do it like this, and that should be like we trigger at most once per hour, and then I mean I guess that's okay. I mean we can still like do all the rest, but this would be tests all fine. Let's check coding style again of those methods. Let's see. Yeah, it's happy. So that will work. So basically two things. So one thing is like what you can do is machine time seconds larger 30, for example, and then we post like test event 2. Post event test event. Yeah, right. So this basically placeholders won't show at all in your log, and they will also only be evaluated when somebody uses them. So otherwise they are totally dead code. So what we can do here is like we got like an event player, and there we got like conditional variables. So we say like if we're in the second part of the minute, then post the second event. So that's basically the simplest thing we can do. Let's let's separate the shell here. Show you npf test on this file, and now it passes. I mean, it actually doesn't test anything. We can also see if it runs. So now we post event. I think it doesn't work. You do it like this. Maybe it's tests, I'm not sure. It should. Insert. Let's see if this works at all. Event posted. See, this should at least fail. Yeah, it works actually. What did I do? No, that doesn't fail. Oh, that fails. Let's copy a working test from the internet. Better from our documentation. That's always a good idea to find some working examples. And we will go with like game logic. We got a lot of tests there. So let's, for example, say kill shot. There's probably an example. Yeah. So test. Start game, assert mode running. So let's just test. Is there something on top? No. Post event. Post. It's just post, I think. Now, does it work? Let's see. Error insertion post. What did I do? Test post event. Really? I'm confused, to be honest. Invalid time element seconds. Oh. Yeah, I didn't see that. It's second. Yeah, so let's do it for a second. So now we see like we posted the event test and it posted test event 2. That's because like the time is like after, like the second is after more than 30, right? So we can also run it like again. Now second 4 also posts like test event, but it doesn't post test event 2. So actually that's what it should do, right? So this is basically conditional events. So now we can also do stuff like this. So we do not tell it when to do something. We just tell it we want an event once this happens. And test event 3. And that also works for shows. So you can have like shows which run when a certain condition is true. And now it's unhappy because it's YAML and YAML likes to be quoted. And yeah, that's actually not working in event player at the moment, looks like. We can do it in show player though. So we can do in show player, for example. Now we can do, I mean, that's like a hack, right? Duration -1, event. So in show player, this should be possible. Let's see. Show, did you mean show? Be show player, obviously. Event. Not sure actually how the syntax is. Let's see. This way. Duration events. Duration event made per event. No duration. Oh yeah, I think you cannot have it inline. So my show. And now we define the show. My show duration is 1. Events test event 3. Let's see. Yeah, it's plural, right? Shows. Did you mean show? Index out of range. That. Did this happen in Okay, so I think still the syntax looks like this somehow. Yeah. So now what we need to do is something advanced time, I think it's and run 60. So we need to update the docs in machine variables that list those time items as standard variables that can be called. Or only in conditional, it's basically only in conditional logic. So maybe that's confusing. We could also like move it to a different place theoretically. But now it would be like placeholders which are in machine. And in machine there are also like all machine variables. So now like okay, it calls my show. I need to check how shows with events actually work, but I'm pretty sure that we can have events, post events, events when played. Duration. I mean, we can also like, what I usually do is I grab through the unit tests and see if I find like an example, because that's often the no, we want some events somewhere. Test event manager, that looks promising. Event manager, no. Oh, bad. I want this in a show somewhere. Let's see. Yeah, we got a test show with events. How does it look? Events. Operation 1, events. Okay. Looks legit. Let's see. X out of range. That's super weird. That's really weird. Because, I mean, now this works. Only if I got the events in here, then it crashes for some reason. I guess it's simple, but yeah. Some reason I failed this. But we can probably have some lights and show up some lights if we fail with this. And now we can have lights. Light 1 red. We should see that. That also fails. That's super weird. So apparently, like on subscription change. Interesting. So apparently, like the subscription stuff breaks my show player for some reason. That's interesting. So something to fix, I guess. So another thing we could add is like we could also do the same with event player. So we could allow this syntax so that once like this becomes true, we will post an event. And it's also something which is probably easy to do. Event player, let's do it. And currently, like this is not implemented, but I can show you how this looks in show player. And for some reason it's broken, but something we can fix. Oh, I broke it. Now I want to search. So basically this is the method which you have to implement to have like subscriptions in your player. And like a show player is something which reacts like usually on events, but it can also like react on like subscription changes. Yeah. So what we could do like is we could do basically the same as in play, like where it's regularly played by an event when a placeholder changes. And we actually get the value of the placeholder. So we can check if it's true. And if it's true, we can basically fire our player, right? So that would be something we could do. And yeah, I guess it's as easy as that. So we get a value, we get settings. So do we need to copy settings? Probably. Don't think so, but let's do it anyway. As conditional, we do exactly the same. We do not have arguments. Can we have Can I suggest a future stream on updating creating docs? Last time I updated something, I broke something, the formatting and the build fade. Yeah, sure, we can do this. So that's totally something we can do. If you got it running locally, that's super nice because then you can basically run like the formatter and all the stuff which the CI runs locally, and you know before like the build fails. But yeah, like sometimes things like that's what we're using is always also a little bit tricky on like the syntax. So if you do not regularly work with restructured text, then you're like you're easy to miss how they want stuff to be, right? Especially this underlining, and so it's sometimes a little bit tricky. So yeah, sure, definitely we can do that. I would add that to my list. So here we got like those values, but now we do not have any values here. So let's just put them empty. And now we might actually have, now we might get issues that if this becomes ready more than once, then we might re-trigger it. Let's see what happens actually. So now we got this line, right? So it should post an event once this becomes true. Let's see what happens actually. So yeah, it doesn't like my formatting because it begins with a bracket. See? Yeah, now you can see that like it posts this event like a lot of times, right? It should be around actually 60 times and it should be only 30 because like the second will only be, yeah. So we should check if value, if not value, then we do nothing. And yeah, now this actually does, what does it do? There's nothing. Okay, interesting. So what's the value here? Is this a placeholder? Printed. It's true. Always true. And then we post the, but then, so something in Python you can do, you can get the class. It's actually a Boolean. So if not value, the turn. So if it does not give me true, then don't do it. But interesting. See, it's always false. But even if we advance time, we should resubscribe, and we should get the changed subscription all the time. Let's see what we did. So we got like machine time seconds, larger 30. That should be like true for half the time, right? It should be, yeah, for half a minute it should be true. And we like advanced time here for, let's delete this for now. Advanced time is 60 seconds, so that should theoretically work. And for some reason it doesn't. That's usually bad. Let's see. So now it's always false because I guess like in a few seconds it will be always true. Yeah. I know. I know why this is the case. Because like in tests we mock the time. But in Placeholder Manager we get like the time from the system. And that's actually not, now that I'm thinking about it, it's not so good. So there's like a way in MPF, save machine lock. How do we have it? No, we don't. So we will pass like the machine to this. So in MPF we got like a central time source, and that's also what we will use here. So I didn't think about this in the tests because then we wouldn't have to mock the stuff because that's actually done in MPF already for us. So there's magic involved as usual. At time, right? So I'm not sure. I think that's a timestamp at the end, right? It's not. Load time. Yeah, I have to think about that. Because I'll actually, we do this like this time mocking stuff, so it's actually good, but my test is just very bad. So that's good how we did this, because yeah, that just doesn't work in tests this way. So that's tricky a little bit, unfortunately. Yeah. Sometimes stuff gets tricky because, yeah, I mean, this kind of works, but only like in real time, not in. And then like this stuff, that's again machine time. And while this is like real time, and now we're in tests, so that's a little bit tricky. So we have to think how we like in general like get the current time in the clock so that it's actually available everywhere. That's tricky. I agree, that's a little bit tricky. So yeah, so my test here is unfortunately not really working. So this is working in general, so you just cannot see it. And that's unfortunate. So this is actually working for some way. And now like what we need to do is like that when this placeholder changes, we need to see that the value actually changed. And if it doesn't, we should do like nothing. And that's something which we probably do like in show player, right? So we got we got like this instance dictionary, how it's called. And that's something that keeps its state. And we will like use this to get like, yeah, that's right. It works in real YAML, but it doesn't work like in when mocking the time. And what we need to do is like we need to also mock this time and get it from a central location so that it works in mocking. Yeah, so I guess that's something we could do. So what we got in MPF is like clock, and that's, you could use this time theoretically. Practically, the problem is like this is actually different depending on your operating system. So this does not guarantee that this is like a timestamp or something. So that's really different on different operating systems. And for that reason, I would like implement something like get datetime. Get current datetime. And we can simply return what we did before. So import datetime and do exactly what does it complain about. It might be static. Yeah, it's true. Make it static. And now we like got a central method for that. That's great. That's great in my opinion. And then like in tests, so like there's a loop in tests. Where we mess with the time. And then like in tests, we need to like improve this method a little bit. But that's something we can do like later. And now, yeah, we'll just go with this stuff here. And I will like get the current time. Then we will mess with the real time. And current times, self machine log get datetime. And now we get something like current time. Unfortunately, now our mocking won't work anymore because it's now from a different method. But still, we can totally that. I'm certain. So yeah, if you want to make it really good, then like the long tail takes a lot of time, as you can see now. But again, that's what's fun. So yeah, actually need like test the machine here. Now it still works, but only until I remove this, and then it should complain. Yeah. Now it complains that my mocking is no longer valid. And that's also true. So we go like for self machine clock get datetime, and we unindent this, so now it should be happy again. Yeah, the mocking is not valid. And also like remove this stuff here and here. Awesome. Good. So we got that, and now only one more thing as usual, and then 10 more. We need to, so what we want to do now is like in our unit tests, we got some method which is called advanced time and run. And that's basically the method where we like mess with time. And it's not actually where we mess with time. We mess somewhere else. But That's what we call, and it actually just sleeps, so that's actually good. But what we can do is, like, in our test time loop, that's this one, the time travel loop, there we can actually set the MPF time, I guess. Probably not. Think about how we do this. It's something tricky. I guess the easiest way is to, yeah, it's a little bit messy now, but what we can do is we mock, yeah, we got a test clock already. Yeah, right. And this test clock overrides some of the methods already. So that's what we're using. So we can just get datetime, and now we will just call, like, we return datetime from timestamp. So basically we will just use, like, the time, the time. We will use, like, the mocked loop and just create, like, a datetime from that. Yeah, based on time travel loop. Let's see if that works. Actually worked. Or it's not called. Let's try. Let's raise an assertion. No, it's actually called. So now we get, like, everything is mocked, everything is virtual, everything is magical again. And now if I got everything right, which is 50% chance, then this should work. Let's see. Yeah, actually works. So now, like, we get, like, from second 0 to 30 we do not get events, and from second 31 to 60 we get events. Only thing we have to do now is we only want, like, one event. We want to have it, like, once this becomes true, we want to trigger it, and once it becomes false, right? So this shouldn't trigger, like, every second, but just only once, right? And so that would be something we could add, and for that we need this, like, dictionary, and here we can just get previous values equals dictionary get value, right? Otherwise none. And so basically we save the previous value, and now we check if previous value equals value, return. Otherwise we put it into this dictionary. So unless maybe it works, let's see. So now we should only get it once. And that's actually true. So we get it once for, like, at 31, and then we get, like, get it never again. And we do this way. So now we check that it changed. If it doesn't change, we return. And we also return if it's false. So now if we run this for, like, let's say we run this for 3 minutes, again virtual time, it should, like, trigger multiple times. So let's see what happens. So now we got 30, 6, 91, yeah. So that's exactly what we want. So now let's see if it also works with 2 different ones, so that I didn't mess up, like, something where they write into the same. Yeah, that's what I imagined. That I need, like, yeah, I need the key. So Not sure if this works, so we need something like that. So they need to basically be saved under different keys. Otherwise they will interfere. So yeah, okay. Yeah. So now we get this key, which is probably just a placeholder. And we need to use that get key, otherwise empty dictionary. And here we do like, we do it a little bit differently, like this. I mean, we do not even need value, so we can just do it like that. Yes. Yeah, now it works. So like at 31, this happens. 41, the other one happens. 91, yeah. And theoretically, it should be happening at 30, right? So it's if we do it like this, it should like happen half a second earlier. Yeah, that now it looks nice. So this looks good. I'm actually happy with that. Now we just need a test for that. And that requires like some config for this, so we can just take the machine variables config folder, and I put like an event player. Do we want to put this here? I could do that to save my life, but one day I will try. I mean, this might look easy, but I've been working on this code for like the last 5 years or 6 of my life, so, and probably at least once a week. So I know where stuff is just out of my mind most of the time. So if I look at different code which somebody else wrote, then it usually takes me a lot more time, right? So this is just because I do a lot of MPF development. So don't be afraid. That's nothing to be like, I mean, I would be exactly the same on any other code base. So it's not that I'm like, I know everything, but it's just that I worked this code base for like a lot of time before. So don't worry. So now basically what we do is we create like a simple test with exactly what I just did. And we test also exactly what I just did. So we take this test and just say self mock event, test event 3 and 4, right? Test event 3 and 4. And now we say self advance time 60 seconds. Third event called test event 3 like one time. So both of them should be like called exactly one time, not 2 times, not 5 times, just exactly one time. And let's see if that's the case. Yes. And then like we let another second pass and both should be called like then 2 times in total. It also works. That's good. And now we got like virtual time for placeholders and so on. So now let's check coding style for once more. I do it this way because if I check the whole code base, that takes like 3 minutes. And this will just take like 20 seconds or something. Yeah, and something is unhappy, too many arguments. 41, I guess. Why isn't it complaining here, but here? That's interesting. Let's see. Let's see it once more. Because maybe. Okay. That doesn't make any sense to me. But let's run the unit test. Then we commit it. And then, I mean, it worked up to 37 minutes. But it hopefully got good after 1 hour 20 minutes. So that's yeah, sometimes stuff just takes a while, to be honest. So that's I guess that's also sometimes the difference between like open source projects and like yeah, like commercial projects where you would say like, yeah, just waste some CPU cycles, it's fine, but we like in NPF we do it differently because we pretend to know better. So yeah, but I guess I hope you had fun learning the async stuff, because I mean, actually, like part of the journey is like to learn stuff, right? So I really hope you had like some fun learning the Python async IO stuff. Because that's great. I totally like that. So now we commit it. Placeholders for maybe let's split it into two commits. The first one would be like we put like the placeholders into that, and then for the second one we put in like I put in like this event player stuff, so there's basically two commits. Convert and let's put placeholders for time. That's the first feature, and the second feature is like event player, subscriptions in event player, subscriptions in event player. Also like a nice feature in my opinion. Should have added this earlier. And then like we add the test as well. So yeah. Test event player, subscriptions and time placeholders. Thanks. We do this like this. I already listed as an author, so that's also always an important. No, so you need to be here also. Should I list you with your whole name, or how do you want to be listed in authors? So that's also like an important question. So you're already there. So every okay. Awesome. So you're on there. Awesome. That's great. So let's push this. Now that gets a little bit tricky. So now I need to, yeah, right. I need to use this command. Nice. And if I did everything right, let's see, then we should have now updated the pull request here. Yes, here. Now it will run like the CI and review the changes also. So we got the event player change, we got like the clock change for datetime. We removed an empty line there for some reason, but it also doesn't make sense there. We got like time placeholders, excellent. We hooked it here, we hooked it there. We got this nicer error, slightly nicer. The mocked loop, we got the test. and we got that test. Excellent. So yeah, like mastering Git is also like a skill which takes time and patience because sometimes tricky. Like one thing which is like a little bit confusing here is that you use like a dev branch as well. Like it usually makes sense to give this a better name, and then it gets easier to distinguish like the MPF, the Mission Pinball dev branch, and your dev branch, because if their names the same way, it's not that Git gets confused, but it gets harder to use all the shortcuts, right? So yeah, like you can do git checkout B for, I don't know, for branch. At least that creates a new branch, and now I can give it any name. That's what you would do in a console. And like you can have like multiple remotes, so I can push to different repositories, and here you can see that yeah, I got like different ones which I actually use, usually on pull request. And origin is basically your primary one. So for me, origin is Mission Pinball. For you, origin is like this one, right? So this is, and in every branch you got here, like for example, this one, that is sometimes bound to a remote. So that makes it a little bit intransparent. It's just a shortcut, right? Yeah. Yeah, it's sometimes tricky. Yeah. So yeah, I know the pains. I've been there, but I also do this at work. So I work a lot with Git. So I probably like do this just often enough so that I don't run into those issues. Yeah, like, but it's a skill worth learning in my opinion. So with that, so this will. I'm relatively certain that this will just pass our CI. This might take a while, but oh yeah, the first test's already passed on the Windows side, and on the Linux side it didn't. But that's like an issue which yeah we run in like rate limits. I fixed this actually in dev already, but not yet on your branch because it has been branched before. I fixed this like I don't know 3 days back, I guess. And now we can just restart the job and it will work. So it's kind of not so great, but that's like that's another story for another day, I would say. So yeah, I'm as usual, like that's how you are as programmer, you estimate that this would take like 10 minutes, and then look at us, we're in like 1.5 hours. So well, I guess so this will definitely pass. So this one is passing. Yeah, not definitely, but most likely it will pass. And if not, like I will fix it later on. Especially since Windows is passing, this should also pass later. So yeah, thanks for bearing with me. So has been fun for me. That's how my normal evenings look anyway. So it's nice to have some company. I guess I will like on Wednesday I will be like covering some specific topic again. So something like I don't know. I have an IDE setup because I've been asked like multiple times for like the IDE setup stuff. But yeah, and that is for light display player. It's also some people ask for that. One of those topics that will be like on Wednesday, and I guess on like maybe next Saturday or also like in 2 weeks Saturday, I will like do like live coding again because that's a little preparation for me because I would be doing it anyway. And we can like work on some issues together. as long as it's interesting to you. I mean, I would love some feedback if it's interesting, if it's too long, too short, if I should explain more stuff, because sometimes it's tricky, right? Should I explain everything or just what I'm doing? So I try to do some middle ground here. But if you got more questions, I'm always happy to explain more, and then we can also cover that. And yeah, like again, yeah, Wednesday we will do some educational stuff. This will be like on YouTube. This will be like the live coding playlist, which is for hardcore fans like you, the people which really want to program MPF. And we got like more topics which are more for like designers, which need to understand hardware. Like I'm repeating myself. There's like a lot of stuff which is interesting to different people, so that's why I'm like categorizing it. So this also passed here. Awesome. I will just rerun the tests, the other ones, a few times until like we got over the rate limits. Luckily, this will be fixed in the future, so I do not have to do it so often anymore. But yeah, I will get this done, and then we will merge it, and that's great. So, link to PR. Yeah, I think that's actually a good idea. Yeah, I'm not actually very good at the social media stuff, so I'm still learning a lot of stuff from various hints from various people. So like doing like timestamps in videos because they are quite long, and also like doing artwork stuff and icons in front and everything, all the fancy stuff. So guys, really thank you for joining me today. Has been a pleasure. I mean, yeah, it's great to have such a great community. And thanks. Yeah, have a great evening too. So really, so I do not plan to be become like famous and have 100 million followers like other people on YouTube. But I guess for our small pinball community, it's good to archive the stuff because it might be interesting later for other people, and that's why I'm doing that. Yeah. So yeah, thanks for joining, guys. Have a great Saturday, or whatever's remaining of Saturday. For me, it's already like evening. I will like go to bed in like an hour or two, and yeah, we will see you around in one of the many chats, and maybe like next stream or some like on Pinball Expo. Maybe it will happen physically. We don't know yet, or in some other location somewhere. So, guys, thank you. Have a great evening. See you soon. Got a new like slide here as well.